Hello everyone. So I'm introducing version 8 and we have made a few changes and especially the formulas and the ability of the tool to give you the best service that it can. And some of the changes were affecting the processes of the business. For instance, some clients were talking about why doesn't the tool have indicate the costs, some of the costs that are not transport related, and some of the costs that are involved in the processing of their products. Some other clients were talking about, and by client I mean the business person, they were talking about why doesn't the tool has a column that can, or rather a section that can indicate the product that are ready to be sold and the product that are still work in progress. And we took that into consideration and we made a few changes. So, like for instance, you can see here in column I, we have added a column that shows the products that are ready for sale. We have also indicated the value of the opening stock in column J, like some of you requested. We have also made a few changes, and especially in the statement of profits and loss, which is in column X and column Y, such that the tool, or rather the statement of profits and loss, will be able to capture all the expenses, all the processes, the taxes that affect the business, so that you can get a more indicative profit or loss, and maybe that will make you be able to make informed decisions about your business. Then, like we all know, actually today I wanted to look at the statement of profit and loss, and this is where it's located. This tool will be able to capture statement of profits and loss for a period of 12 months. It begins here. We have a month 1 all the way to month 4, all the way to the last month of the year, which is month 12. And then we also have the active month. Okay. So for those who may not have an idea of what a profit and loss account is, it usually capture, we usually call it, some people usually call it the statement of operations. But in our case, let's choose to call it a profit and loss account. We don't want to use so much finance jargon. And remember, this tool will show you your ability, or rather your company's ability or your business's ability to generate sales, and whether your business is able to manage its expenses and maybe create profits. Remember, we are all in business to create profit. We are not here to make losses. But at some point in time, where you'll be making losses, God forbid. But now this tool will be able to show you that you are either about to make a loss or you are making profits. So let's look at the structure of our simplified statement of profits and loss. And the first thing that you can see in row 3 here is sales. Remember, we are all in business to make sales and gain profits from the sales that we make. Then we also be able to estimate or calculate the cost of goods that were sold throughout that period. And in this case, it's throughout that month. Okay. Then we look at the administrative and maybe the selling or general expenses. Here they are listed from here downwards. And in our case, the expenses, they are not all of them, but this column is not locked, so you can be able to add as many expenses as you may. But I choose, you maybe consolidate them. Similar expenses should fall into one cell. Like in our case, we have transportation costs, bags, and other maybe transport related costs. And the cost related to grading, that is maybe for the businesses that are involved in grading, maybe coconuts and all that. Then we have the purchases for maybe when you're procuring jars, lids. We also have the marketing expenses like the branding. Remember, branding is a marketing expense. Then we maybe have the other statutory expenses like the permits, which we are all required to renew after every 1 year or so. Then maybe some businesses may use this tool when they are starting up, which is a good thing. And you will have incurred a business registration expense. Then some businesses will also require to have a KEBS certification. And definitely you will have to pay some people, maybe the labor that is being offered at your shop. That will be in form of wages. And you'll also have some expenses whereby some of sales were not recovered, the sales shorts, especially for those who have employed shop attendants. You'll be seeing shorts if you don't put a keen eye on your business. Then I've left all these spaces. They will cover all other additional expenses that you may wish to add. And then now you will add the amount here on the green shaded cells. And then now this tool will be able now to calculate the total expenses. And then after calculating the total expenses, now the tool will subtract for you that's the expenses from the gross profits. Okay, so I think that is clear for now. Then now, what happens when you're done with the active month after maybe 30 or 28 days? Let's say 30. What you do is take your pen and a paper, then record all these. Okay, the sales, record them down. Maybe in this case, in our case, it's 120. That's an example. And then now you record all these other components of the sales, of the profit and loss account. Then what do you do after recording them? You come all the way to month 1. Okay, and insert all that here. This column will be corresponding with the components of this column, okay, of the description column. Then let's try to enter, like in this case, the sales were 120. Let's input 120 here and see whether this cell will update itself. In this column, look at this cell, this one, that one. Let's see whether it will update itself. Okay, that's 120. You see? Okay. Then maybe in month 2, the sales were, after maybe 1 month or 2 months, the sales were, maybe you had 100 as an example. Let's see whether this cell will, cell AL3 will update to 120 plus 100. Let's see whether this 120 will now turn to, that's 3, to 20. Yes, something like that. Okay, as simple as that. In case of any questions, I'm always available. You can reach me through my WhatsApp or through email. My number is 0708 18 42 17. Okay. Or something else to note. Remember, all these blue shaded cells will update themselves. They'll update themselves, so you don't have to fill them. What you are required to fill here are the expenses. Okay, the blue part. All right. Yeah, because every business has its own unique expenses. So I left that part for you to maybe complete. So what fits the profit and loss account? Whatever you input in here in the body, you see the white, the white columns, the white sections, you expected to write something inside. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Then, if you have watched the other videos in this channel, you will have, you already have an idea of what to fill at the product description part. If you have more than one product, I would advise that you select one big box for every product. All right. Let's, for instance, you sell virgin coconut oil. Okay, that will be one product. Virgin coconut oil. That will be one product. But now there are some businesses that will have more than one product. And for instance, the cereals businesses, maybe you have so many types of beans. What do? You have maybe yellow beans. Let all this part cover yellow beans. So you can see here we have week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. You can't have 2 products in the same box, or else it will lead to a lot of confusion and you'll mix up your data. The tool will still calculate, but you will be left confused. All right. Then maybe you have another type of beans, which is let's say rose cocoa beans. Let them cover all these section. Then maybe you have a third product, which is maize flour. We usually call it baridi. Okay. Then maybe you have another product, mahindi choma. Hii ya kutengeneza mahindi choma, the green maize. Okay. You see now your tool will look more orderly. Other than having this one section covering 4 products, it will be very messy. Okay. So after doing that, let's do a simple example. I had inputted some data, so let me first delete them so that they can't interfere with our example. Let me first clear up these sections that I had already written something in them. And I want to see whether the profit and loss account has updated itself. Yes, it's now 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay. Yeah, so now let's go and fill something. And I choose, let me choose green maize. And maybe in week 1, remember you have to read this the column description. And in this column, it shows that units purchased, the smallest measurable values. In our case, most of the businesses usually purchase green maize in kilograms, in 90 kg kilograms or less, but it's in kilograms. So let's say you acquired maybe 100 kg, okay? And then the second column is, oh, I've seen some people write 100 kg. No, if you write that, you get a value error, okay? So just write the number, something like that, okay? Then what are the available units at the shop or at the store or at the warehouse before making this purchase? Maybe you had, let's say, 10 existing products before you made this new purchase. Write them there. And how will you know the remaining products? You'll have now to make, or rather to take your stock and calculate physically. You should verify them physically, and you record the available stock there. And then we have this other column on the purchase price per unit. And per unit, in our case, it's kilograms. So purchase price per unit, let's say it's usually 40 shillings. Then note it down there. So the product has already calculated for you the cost of purchase or the order cost, which is 4,000. Why? That is 40 times 100. Okay. Then what are the tool has also calculated for you the cost of goods available for sale. And in our case, the goods that are available for sale are whatever you had at your shop and whatever product that you have purchased. Okay, old plus new, which is 4,400. Why 4,400? Remember, you already had 10 units remaining, and these 10 units, they were also meant for sale. Okay, I hope I'm clear on that. Then what were the costs related to purchase? Maybe when you're transporting the goods from the farm to your shop, you spent, let's say, 200 shillings. Okay, note it down there. Then the products that are ready for sale. The products that are ready for sale are those products that you think that they are sellable. And what do I mean by sellable? Maybe in our case, the product is grain maize. Maybe some of the maize went bad, or maybe some of the maize was stolen, or maybe some of the maize are not fresh. So this is what we input here after deducting all those rotten and not so good sellable maize. So in our case, let's say all the products were good, they were ready for sale, and that would be we have 100 units and we also had 10, that is 110. Note it down there, 110 units. Then let's move on. So this This tool has already calculated for you the value of opening stock. Your opening stock, like I've explained here, is last week's closing stock. And like we said, before purchase, you had 10 units remaining. Okay, so the value of those 10 units was 400. And by 400, I mean 40, 40 shillings times 10 kilograms, which is 400. Then how many units did you sell? So how many units did you sell this week? Let's say you just sold all of them. And by all of them, I mean 110. Okay, here. So let's say we just sold all the kgs throughout this week. Remember, the business dynamics may maybe make you sell less or even sell nothing. It happens. So the next sell is your selling price per unit. Remember, your buying price was 40, but now you can't sell at the same price. So you have to indicate an amount, a selling price that is above 40. And in our case, let's say per kg, you will sell 80 shillings. Okay. So this tool has already calculated for you the sales before expenses. And so far, our expenses are the transportation cost, which was 200 here. So 800 is sales before deducting the transportation cost. Okay. Then you now add to calculating, or rather verifying the stock that is remaining in your shop. And in our case, since you sold everything, I think the stock will just be 0. So your stock at the actual units in stock, you write 0. All right. So this column will be value of closing stock. That will be 0 because there are no products. Then the number of missing products, none, because you sold everything. But now, what will be the amount of cash that we'll be expecting from all that business? That will be 8,800, or rather the sales before expenses, minus the 200 shillings that you spent transporting those green maize to your shop. So 8,800 minus 200, that brings you as to 8,600, and that is the amount of cash that is in your hand. But now assume you had an attendant and the attendant gave you the exact amount. Note it down there. So here there will be no short in this column. But now assume the attendant gave you, let's say 8,500. That will be a short of 100, right? Let's see if the tool will calculate 8,500. So you see the tool has already told you that you have a short of 100. So now you'll be able to ask the shop attendant where is the remaining money. But to avoid so much calculations, let's say the attendant gave you all the money. Okay, so there's no short noted. Let's not talk about the wages right now because wages are maybe paid at the end of the month. So remember the wages are paid from the sales of all the products, not just one product. And in our case, we're only illustrating with one product. So let's say you didn't pay the attendant that week, so it's a 0. So let's come back to our profit and loss account. You see it has already updated itself because it has formulas. The sales, like we saw, it's a summary. The sales were 8,800. Remember, these were the sales before expenses, right? Yeah, it was 8,800. Then you'll now have to um, uh, deduct the cost of goods sold. And the cost of goods sold are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the components of the cost of goods sold. And remember, they always update themselves. So you don't have to take your calculator. It's not necessary. Okay. And the first one, the first component of the cost of goods sold is the value of opening stock. Opening stock. Remember that the 10 kilograms of green maize that were remaining, that were costing 10 shillings, that were costing 40 shillings. So this is where you indicate now the value of opening stock, and that is 400. Then remember the amount of green maize that you purchased. Do you remember? Yeah. So they will also update here. Then what were the costs of goods available for sale? The cost of goods available for sale are the value of the opening stock plus the value of purchases. Okay? You add the two. Remember, this tool, or rather the profit and loss account, does not deal with the units. Right now we are dealing with the money. Okay? And the value of cost of goods available for sale is 4,400, and you can see in the comment that is the opening inventory, then add the purchases. Then, did you have closing stock in the month? No. So this tool has already captured that, and it's 0. Okay. Then, what were the cost of goods sold? After you're doing all that, and after you have sold, the tool has already calculated for you. Okay. We usually call it the COGS, and its formula is as indicated there. Then now finally, the tool will capture the gross profit. Remember, a gross profit has not yet subtracted the expenses. It's a rough profit. Okay. And our rough profit at the moment is 4,400. So now, this tool will also require now you to indicate your expenses for your business. And this is the section. It has already captured the transportation cost, so that would be necessary. Remember, you spent 200. But now, from here going downwards up to the turnover tax, you'll be expected to populate those sections manually. Okay. Let's say you did for the bags, maybe you spent 10 shillings for one gunny bag. Okay, that is an expense. Then you didn't have any other transport related costs. Then you did not have grading costs. For the jars, no. Dates, no. But branding expenses, maybe you sent you did something about the shop, and let's say you spent 20 shillings to market your business. Remember, this is just illustrative. Then you did not renew your permit. Of course, you did not register your business. You can't register twice. Then maybe you did not have any KEPS arrears. Then you did not pay wages. Don't worry, the dash is just a setting. It means it's a 0. Okay. Then maybe you can add other expenses, and maybe other expenses. Let's say maybe you dried the maize. No, let's not say drying. Let's say peeling. Remember, some customers may be wanting an extra service. They want their maize peeled. So this would be peeling expenses. And maybe you got a guy to do that work. Okay. And maybe you paid that laborer 100 shillings. So you indicate it there. Then this other section, just write as many expenses as you may think your business incurred, but do not repeat. Do not repeat the expenses. If you input similar expenses with the similar costs, that will lead to double counting or duplication. So, rule of the game: do not duplicate your expenses. Okay, so now let's see whether the tool has shown us our profits or our losses. And it's a good thing. Our expenses are shown here. Here are 330. Where is 330 coming from? We have 100 here plus 20 here, that is 120, plus 10 here, that is 130, then plus 200 here, that is 330. So the tool will also calculate for you the net profit. And the good thing is we have made a profit, okay? A profit of 4,070. So can you see like the net profit is different from the gross profit, okay? The gross profit was 4,400 and the net is 4,070. Remember, we have subtracted the expenses, okay? But now, what if you had a very huge expense that made you maybe to incur a loss? Let's say you had an expense labeled X, okay? And that expense maybe costed you 5,000. Remember that will already translate to a loss for your business. Let's see whether the tool will capture. You see, you have already made a loss of 930. Okay, so if this box, if this cell, like you can see in the comment, if this cell is red, you have incurred a loss. So, okay, let's delete that expense. So now what do you do after that? You come now and transfer all these entries into month one. Where is month one? Here it is. You copy. Remember, when you're pasting, do not use the paste P, because that means you'll also paste the formulas. And this may lead to very complicated errors. So I would advise you just copy the values. Copy and paste the values and click. Okay? Yeah, something like that. And this column will capture the total entries for all the months since month 1 all the way to month 12. After every period, what do? Before you do anything else, just copy the entries and transfer them to the month that you are in. This will also happen in the second month and the third month. That is very crucial. And when you are pasting, do not paste the formulas, just paste the values. Okay. Then what will happen now after you paste for month 1, month 2? Let's assume this will, we have already concluded month 2. paste it there. But maybe month 2, the sales were, let's say, 10,000. Remember, this is just illustrative, and maybe the other parts did not change. You see, this is a cumulative column. So after 12 months, you'll be knowing this year I have made a profit of maybe 8,000, or this year I've made a loss of maybe 10,000. All right. So what now happens when you're done with the active month? Let me first delete this column. Not the column, sorry, the contents of the column. Let me clear. Let me also clear the contents. No, do not clear the content of month 1. Okay, after you have posted the summaries in this column, you will now be required to head back to your tool and start over again in the next month. All right. Remember, these sections will be full for every product. They will be populated. So there is no need of retaining all that data. Remember, you've already transferred the summaries for that month, and you have already made a decision from that. What do? Come over and clear all these sections. If you have a lot of data, I would advise maybe you can, other than deleting like I'm doing, like delete every cell, that will be very hectic. What do? Come and highlight these big parts, something like that. No, let's try to enter something before we highlight something. So if you want to delete all this data at once, other than deleting one by one, just come highlight all this section where the data is and clear the content. Okay, it has cleared everything for that month. Then now, after you have cleared the content of this, after you have cleared the content of these sections, you now go back to doing a stock take, and then you start over again. And that's the end of today's tutorial. Bye bye and all the best.